Morning, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. I want to welcome you to our second service. We had, if you were here for Dar, you know how wonderful that was. So it was a great, great morning. I want all of you to contemplate a greater idea of yourself this morning, and that's discover how to let it be our way. Whatever yours is, whatever mine is, our individualized experience in this thing called life is the result of the experience we have within, and it unfolds without. So if we change within, the law will accept it and then remove whatever needs to be removed, so the new experience has a place to happen and thrive. Did all of you get your handout this morning? Okay. In this handout, which is the energy back of thought, Dr. Ernest Holmes says, and I'm reading this because we're on YouTube. How many watching us on YouTube? Yeah, okay. Go to the website. If you just click on underneath the lecture topics, you can see, you go right to YouTube and you'll get all of us there. I was just talking to Ike that we now have 1 year on YouTube. Is that right? A full year on YouTube. So they're all there. And you can see how Reverend Lacey and I are growing younger every day. Every way, you got it. All right, Dr. Holmes says, nature lies in the lap of an intelligence and life which, without any apparent effort on its own part, provides both seed time and harvest. How can we doubt that the power back of things is adequate and is a unity? Originality, spontaneity, and volition crop out at every point in nature. We can see it. We can see but one reasonable conclusion, that back of everything, coordinating everything, is a unitary power, all-knowing, all-wise, all-good, all-beautiful, absolute, birthless, deathless, and changeless. Okay, so you don't have to go anywhere to get it. Everyone say, everything I need, arrived when I got here. Dr. Holmes used to say, it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. You know, why don't we open the gift? Okay, and the challenge is to wake up and realize that the gift is unlimited. The gift is only waiting for our, self-definition to begin to expect things in relationship to its own growth, to its own experience, to its own evolution. Dr. Wayne Dyer, how many are Wayne Dyer fans? Okay. You know, if you don't know, if you're new to this, one of the reasons we're here is Wayne Dyer in 1975 and 76 came here and helped me start this church. And the way he did it was I had a Wayne Dyer seminar and people came out for the woodwork. I'm thinking about inviting Wayne back again. And we've been friends for years. But Wayne said this, every time you have a thought that extends to a conversation with others about what is missing, what shortages you have, your bad luck, what always has been, how others don't understand you, and so forth, you are practicing a misaligned excuse mentality. A misaligned excuse mentality. Okay. How many know if you involve yourself in all of that, that what you're doing is giving yourself a world mind treatment? You're giving yourself an affirmation based on fear, an affirmation based on doubt, an affirmation based on certainty. And what we want to do, the title this morning, is Wake Up and Direct Your Life. Wake up out. How many have, since you've been involved in religious science, allowed yourself to wake up out of a former definition and allowed yourself to embrace a new definition of you that has nothing to do with the former one, other than the fact that you don't want to do any of that anymore and you choose to be wiser than you used to be? Okay. You see, what is that? See, that is allowing yourself spiritual maturity. That's allowing yourself spiritual growth. If we wake up and direct our life, we discover something wonderful. We discover that waking up and directing our life, taking charge of our life, see? And this is what is different. You know, somebody came up and said they loved what I said a couple of Sundays ago, where I pointed out that we don't ask you to believe in this church and what we do here. But what we do, which may be different than something else, we believe in you. We're not asking you to believe in us. We believe that everyone who walks through our doors is an unlimited possibility of greater good, waiting to discover that, and however good it is now, it's waiting to get that much better if we let go and let it happen. The challenge is to stop trying to make it happen and let it happen and direct it. Now, when we find ourselves do that, we find ourselves involved in religious science, we find ourselves encouraged to study, because as some of the greatest teachers who've ever lived, probably one of the greatest minds that ever existed, P.D. Ouspensky, the great Russian physicist who discovered metaphysics, pointed out that no matter who the teacher is or how clear they are, the teacher always needs a teacher. And that we should never stop studying. Everybody say, the more I know, there's more to know. Now, what do? You come into this, we want it to be intellectually satisfying. We want your intellect to be able to embrace it, but then we want you to stay with it and understand that intellectual embodiment is not enough. What you need to do is do what? Spiritualize the intellect. Allow yourself to know that what you are embodying was not only good enough to be true for the great, the good, and the wise of the age. You see, somebody pointed out Christianity goes back 2,000 years. I said, well, we go back about 4,000. Okay. Because if you go back 4,000 years, you begin to see the clearest teachers who ever lived never disagreed with each other, both East and West. And that's where our teachers came from, because they explored that, found the golden thread that binds it all together, and figured out how to explain it in today's language, not yesterday's. This is why our wonderful class we're having on Ralph Waldo Emerson, we are taking that great mind of Ralph Waldo Emerson and those great words and that great consciousness, and yes, we're celebrating the way it was. We're also looking to say, how can I explain it now? And if you want to know a definition, pick up the Science Mind textbook. You see, the life we live and the ultimate spiritual practice that we're involved in, all we have to do is understand that what we are experiencing is not only inner re-education, but we are doing what? We're allowing ourselves outer experience as a result of that education. We can go back and realize that we are more than just religious history. We are more than a philosophical doctrine. We are more than that. Our only purpose is to provide you and me and anyone who studies this with a set of tools that we can use and allow ourselves to provide not only the avenue to express those tools in the right way in our own life, but to know that we are ready, willing, and able to meet any challenge that arrives in our life, and know that even though in the beginning we may not know what to do, but there's something within us that does, and if we let go and know that the power within us knows how to do anything we let it do, all of a sudden we become aware. If we stop listening to the world and start listening to our heart, if we stop listening to impossible and start listening to possibility, if we start listening to doubt and start listening to courage, if we stop listening to fear and start listening to the security that is within this understanding, you see, we are engaged in doing something very, very important, and that is waking up from the sleep in which we dream that we are separate from our experience. Do you follow what I'm saying? Because people who believe they are separate from their experience, it's an illusion. They're dreaming they're separated. You're never separated from your experience. When I was with Fenwick Holmes in my late 20s, trying to express him with how many classes I'd had, he introduced me to Ouspensky, who taught me very clearly something I probably didn't want to hear at the time because it irritated me. And I go, wait a minute, and that is, say with me, I am cause to everything that happens in my life. I am cause to everything that happens. Now the challenge is to hear that without going on a guilt trip. Okay. Everyone say, whatever choices I made then seemed appropriate at the time. That was then. This is now. And I'm wiser now. I'm also wise enough to stop beating myself over the head because I made a wrong decision. How many made at least one wrong decision in your life? Okay. And what was their name? No. Now, the wonderful within us is something that, Reverend Lacey and I love to use this. I think if you listen to our lessons over the past 20 years or whatever, you will probably hear this a lot. Because metaphysical teachers, religious science teachers, unity teachers, divine science teachers, if we find something that we are repeating, you're probably hearing it repeated because it means so much to us. And that is, I appreciate what I know I am, a mighty moving power of God. Okay. Anytime I get caught up in a condition, that's my treatment. When I was in the hospital 3 years ago and needed a turnaround with the verdict that was given, my treatment was, I appreciate what I know I am, a mighty moving power of God, and I know every single treatment that is given for me by all of my practitioners and all my ministers and everybody I love in this church, all of my church family, all my community. I know every single treatment given for me is true. See, I got me out of the way. See, and let Jerry treat. And so the beautiful in me as me is ready, willing, and able to move forth. If I operate, now as Dr. Craig Carter taught me clearly, and you've been listening to this for 36 years, what we teach here, I do, Reverend Lacey, Reverend Dar, all of our teachers that you have here, that I have, they're all my students. I trained all of them except Cynthia. And now I'm being trained. No.